The little bear
The
said,
text message arrived while James was reading bedtime stories to the girls.
"Just a message. Go
Unknown
to sleep,
number,
girls."
no name. Just 8 words that made the kitchen feel smaller. Good work today.
That's all.
We'll be watching closely. James's hand tightened around his phone.
We'll be watching closely.
They'd just completed their first office delivery.
Is this right?
Clean,
Perfect.
professional,
Clean,
by
professional.
the book.
By the book.
All
10
10
boxes
verified.
of fruit. Signed receipts.
Perfect.
Thank
Zero
you.
No
problems.
problem at all. Have a good one.
So why did this
So why did
message
this
feel like
message
a
feel like a
warning
warning
instead of praise?
Perhaps it was intended to be both.
His mother stood at the sink, drying dishes with steady
I'm gonna touch
hands,
this.
and asked the
Son,
question
what are you
that
gonna
would
do?
change
Did you give them our
everything.
home address?
Did you give
I
them
didn't
our
think it was
home
a big deal at
address?
the time.
Not a big deal.
I know. I'm sorry.
I've had to.
Have you ever
every
had to
day.
protect your family's privacy while trying to
Okay,
build
Mom.
something good?
I know. I'll make sure you stay that way.
I
3
think if we
months
follow this
earlier,
list, we'll be
It had
ready.
all started
Yes.
with
It all
pancakes
started
and
with
a
these
simple
pancakes.
plan.
Mommy, Daddy, I help too.
Hello and welcome back. When someone watches your family too closely, even good work starts to feel dangerous. 3 months earlier, the first office delivery had started the same way every important day started in their house, with pancakes. James's mother was already in the kitchen before sunrise, moving quietly like she didn't want to wake the whole world. She had the batter ready, the pan warm, and a focused look on her face like breakfast was a job someone could succeed at, even when everything else felt uncertain. Anna shuffled in first, hair wild, eyes bright. "Is today the office fruit day?" she whispered, like it was a secret mission. James walked in behind her, tying his watch on with the calm energy that still looked like a dad when he bent down to wipe syrup off a child's chin. "Today's the first office run," he confirmed. Nye waddled in last, hugging her stuffed orange and proudly showing everyone her bracelet. "Mine," she announced. His wife checked Nye's forehead out of habit. Normal warm, normal bossy, the best signs. As they ate, James opened his notebook. Not his laptop, his notebook. He'd learned that mornings with kids didn't belong to screens. "Here's the plan," he said, voice low and steady so it wouldn't turn breakfast into stress. "Pick up 10 boxes from cold storage. Recheck temps, relog seal codes. Deliver to the office lobby only. Get signature and timestamp. Upload logs before we come home." Anna raised her hand like she was in school. "What do we do?" James smiled. "You two run quality control," he said, pointing at Anna and Nye. Nye gasped dramatically, then clapped. Anna sat up straighter. "What does that mean?" "Ksenia, it means you check the outside labels for star stickers," James said. "And you tell Mom if any are crooked." Anna nodded solemnly, taking her role seriously. That seriousness followed her to the kitchen table, where they built the boxes one last time, not opening them, just verifying what was already sealed. Because of that final check, James read out the codes while his wife matched them to the list. Anna checked the corners for her care card slips. Nye patted each box like she was blessing it. James's mother watched them and surprised his wife with a quiet, practical sentence. "When James was little," she said softly, "I kept a go bag by the door, not for fear, for calm. It meant I didn't have to scramble." She slid a small pouch toward her daughter-in-law. Extra tape, a pen, 2 blank seal stickers, and a tiny bottle of hand sanitizer. It wasn't flashy. It was mother work. "Thank you," James's wife said, and she meant it. That pouch went into her bag, and when it was time to leave, Anna's face fell. "We can't come?" James crouched to her level. "Not today," he said gently. "Office isn't a playground, but you helped build it. That matters." Anna swallowed, then nodded. "Okay," she whispered. "Bring the peace back home." James blinked, like that hit him harder than any clause in the contract. "I will," he promised. So James's mother stayed with the kids. And for the first time, it didn't feel like a risky choice. It felt normal, like family. In the car, James reached over and squeezed his wife's hand. "You ready?" "I'm ready," she said. Then more honestly, "I'm proud of us." He nodded. "Me too." And we keep it quiet. At the cold storage rental, everything was procedure. Keypad entry, temperature display, logs on the wall. James checked the digital readout, photographed it, and wrote the time in the binder. His wife scanned each seal and matched it to their list. They didn't rush. They didn't improvise. Because this wasn't just fruit. This was trust with a barcode. They loaded the boxes into the van, strapped them down, and drove into the city. The corporate building was glass and air conditioning, and people walking fast like feelings were inconvenient. They checked in at the lobby desk. James gave their vendor ID. The security guard scanned the delivery authorization. Then one small moment tried to turn into drama. A young woman with a camera badge appeared near the lobby, smiling too brightly. "Perfect," she said, lifting her phone. "Just a quick shot of you two delivering. So authentic." James's wife felt her stomach tighten. James didn't raise his voice. He didn't look angry. He just stepped slightly in front of the boxes, protecting them like he'd protect the kids, and said, calm and final, "No filming, pack house only. Written terms." She laughed like he was joking. "It's just internal." James's eyes stayed steady. "Internal still leaks," he said. "No." The woman's smile thinned. "You're being difficult." "I'm being professional," James replied. "And protective." Before she could push again, the procurement director walked out of the elevator. He took one look at the camera badge and sighed like he'd already had this argument. "Not today," he told her, firm. "You were reminded. If you want footage, schedule Packhouse B-roll through me." The woman's face hardened, but she backed off. That single word, "no," had held the line, and James nodded once at the procurement director. Not gratitude like a favor, gratitude like respect. They rolled the boxes to the designated delivery spot. Procurement scanned each code. James's wife watched every scan like her eyes were part of the system. James handed over the binder page for signature. The procurement director signed, time-stamped, and said quietly, "This is clean execution." Her chest loosened. Then he added, "And thank you for holding your privacy line. It keeps us out of trouble too." On the drive home, James didn't talk much. He stayed focused until they uploaded the logs from the parking lot. Photos, temperatures, signatures, codes, everything in place. Only after he hit submit did he finally exhale. We did it," he said softly. "We did it the right way." His wife corrected. Back at home, Anna met them at the door like a reporter. "Did you win?" James lifted her up and spun her once, careful not to make Nye jealous. "We delivered," he said, "and we stayed protected." Nye waddled up, demanded a hug, then pointed at the van. "More box," James laughed. "Not today," he said. "Today, we rest." That evening, James's mother served dinner while the kids chattered about star stickers and office people. The house felt warm in a way it hadn't for a long time, like they were building something without breaking themselves. Sometimes the hardest part of protecting your family isn't saying no to strangers. It's knowing when danger is disguised as opportunity. After bedtime, James's phone buzzed. A message from procurement. First office run received. 0 issues. Next week we scale to 20. Same terms, same privacy, good work. James showed it to his wife. She smiled, tired but real. Then, another buzz, unknown number. Good work today. We'll be watching closely. James set the phone down on the kitchen table like it might explode. His wife read the message twice, her face going pale in the dim light. Who sends that? She whispered. Someone who wants us scared, James said quietly. He laced his fingers with hers across the table. We keep choosing family first, and we keep the doors locked. She nodded, but sleep didn't come easy that night. The next morning, James's mother noticed the tension before anyone said a word. She was pouring coffee when James walked into the kitchen, moving slower than usual. What happened? She asked, direct but gentle. James showed her the message. His mother read it once, then set the phone down with the same calm she'd used to slide that go bag across the table weeks before. Someone's testing boundaries, she said. You held the line yesterday. Now they're seeing if fear works better. Should we stop? James's wife asked from the doorway, holding Nye on her hip. James's mother looked at her son, then at her daughter-in-law. That depends, she said carefully. Are you building something good, or are you risking something precious? James was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, both, and I don't know how to choose. Anna appeared in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. Daddy sad? James crouched down and pulled her close. Daddy's thinking, he said softly. Sometimes grown-ups have to solve puzzles. Anna patted his cheek. You're good at puzzles, she said with complete confidence. That trust, that simple, unearned trust, made the decision clearer. So James called the procurement director from the back porch while his wife kept the kids inside. The conversation was short, professional. James explained the message. He didn't ask for help. He asked for clarity. The procurement director's voice turned sharp. Forward it to me, he said. Right now. James did. 3 minutes later, the director called back. That number isn't ours, he said bluntly, and it's not authorized contact. You need to report this. To who? James asked. Start with us. I'm flagging our security team. Then file a report with local police. Not because it's a crime yet, because it creates a record. James felt something shift. This wasn't just him protecting his family anymore. This was a system recognizing a threat. One more thing, the director added. Don't reply to that number. Don't engage. Let them wonder why you went quiet. James thanked him and ended the call. That afternoon, he drove to the police station alone. The officer at the desk listened, took notes, and created a case file. It wasn't dramatic. It was paperwork. But paperwork meant documentation, and documentation meant James wasn't imagining the danger. You did the right thing coming in, the officer said. Most people wait until it escalates. James nodded. I have kids, he said simply. I can't wait. When he got home, his mother had already started dinner, and his wife was reading to the girls in the living room. The house felt protected, not by locks or cameras, but by the simple rhythm of people choosing to stay close. That evening, James sat down with his wife after the kids were asleep. I filed the report, he said, and I told procurement. They're taking it seriously. She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath all day. what happens now? Now we keep going, James said. But smarter. We don't post locations. We don't answer unknown numbers. We treat every delivery like someone's watching, because someone is. His wife reached for his hand. Shaktilar, are we safe? We're safer than yesterday, James said, and we'll be safer tomorrow. The next week, the second delivery went exactly like the first, except this time, James's mother rode along, not to help load boxes, to be a witness, an extra set of eyes, a presence that said, this family doesn't travel alone. At the corporate building, procurement met them at the loading dock instead of the lobby. No foot traffic, no cameras, just business. The director shook James's hand and nodded at his mother with respect. We tightened protocols, he said. No one films vendors without written consent. No one contacts you outside official channels. And if they do, you tell me immediately. James's mother spoke for the first time. Thank you for protecting my son's work, she said quietly. And his family. The director's face softened. That's the deal, he said. To clean work, clean boundaries. They unloaded 20 boxes. Every scan matched. Every seal held. Every signature was clean. On the drive home, James's mother said something that stayed with them. Your father used to say that good work protects itself, but only if you protect it first. James glanced at her in the rearview mirror. I'm trying, he said. I know, she replied. And it's working. That night, no unknown messages came. The next week, none came either. By the third week, James's wife stopped checking his phone every time it buzzed. The deliveries continued. 20 boxes, then 30, then 40. Each one clean, each one protected. The house stayed warm. The kids stayed safe. James's mother stayed close. And slowly, the fear that had wrapped around their throats like smoke began to lift. One evening, a month after that first unknown message, James's phone buzzed with a text from procurement. Year-end review shows Hill Fruits as top vendor. Integrity, consistency, boundaries respected, contract renewal approved. Well done. James showed his wife. She smiled, not tired this time, but proud. Anna wandered into the kitchen holding a drawing. I made the office, she said, pointing at a crayon building surrounded by orange stars. James lifted her onto his lap. It's perfect, he said. Nye toddled over, demanding equal attention. Mine, she announced, shoving her own drawing forward, just scribbles, but fierce. James's mother watched from the doorway, dish towel in hand, and said softly, This is what winning looks like. Outside, the Hill Fruits light stayed on. Inside, their peace felt stronger than yesterday. And finally, completely theirs. Have you ever had to choose between opportunity and safety? Sometimes the bravest thing we do is protect what we've built.